Good morning. Hopefully each of us began our day with a nutritious breakfast. Living in a rural area, we all share a close connection to the farmers who provided us with those eggs, bagels, or yogurt that were no doubt part of our breakfast. But what most of us may not realize is that soil played an essential part in producing that wonderful breakfast. Without it, life as we know it would not exist. Today I would like to share what I've learned about soil conservation and why it's important. To understand the dangers, we only have to look at the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. Intensive cultivation led to the destruction of the natural ecosystem on the prairie. In 1935, President Franklin Roosevelt signed the first Soil Conservation Act because leaders realized the lack of soil and moisture on our lands was a menace to the national welfare. Taking this very seriously, FDR stated that a nation that destroys its soil destroys itself. In its earliest years, soil conservation efforts focused on flood control, with nearly 11,000 dams constructed. During the drought of the 1950s, financial incentives were offered to farmers who used cover crops. The environmental concerns in the 60s and 70s over water quality and pollution took center stage. In the 1980s, farmers were encouraged to plant more cropland into grasses or trees. Innovative no-till practices, use of filter strips, and vegetative buffer zones have helped reduce soil erosion. So, after 75 years of conservation efforts, how well are we doing today? According to research at Iowa State University, not so well. Soil is still eroding faster than soil is forming. While some of the blame does fall on natural climate change, weather records show that heavy rains, those gully washers, are more common today than they were 50 years ago. In fact, rains totaling 4 inches or more common today than they were. The gullies that are formed act just like a conveyor belt, carrying the soil right out of the field. In search of some answers to this continuing problem, I recently attended a soil conservation workshop led by Jay Fewer and Paul Brown of Burling County, North Dakota. I learned from them that there are 2 issues that need to be addressed in sustaining the productivity of our land. First, as a study from Iowa State makes clear, we must do more to hold the soil in place. And secondly, we must repair the damage done to the soil through years of plowing, soil compaction, and synthetic chemicals. To hold the soil in place, cover crops are proving to be essential. Cover crops not only anchor the soil, but they also increase the soil organic matter, making air spaces or pores that absorb and hold the water. Cover crops are important in regenerating the soil too. More nitrogen is captured, and more carbon is left in the soil if a diverse range of cover crops are used. A cocktail of cover crops might include sunflowers, lentils, triticale, or radishes, which increases the organic matter of the soil while encouraging pollinators and other living organisms to thrive. Then, as an added benefit, these cover crops can be used to feed wildlife and other livestock. Cattle gain well with intense rotational grazing of the cover crops, controlled with fencing, so that about half of the plant growth remains to protect and feed the soil. When taking the cattle out of the feedlots and placing them back in the land, the waste from the cattle is then conveniently recycled, and there are fewer environmental concerns. Some are even trying hogs and chickens. Imagine taking these animals out of confinement housing and placing them back on the land. I bet our bacon and eggs would probably be better for us too. The use of using cover crops and integrating livestock with them is proving to be beneficial both economically and environmentally. Today's challenge is not to become complacent in thinking that our soil is protected. Soil health is just too important. Healthy soil means healthy food, which means healthy people. And a healthy breakfast for you, after all, is the ending goal of all conservation efforts, to improve the quality of life for all people. Thank you.